Hello, Kryptonites, and welcome to another Take a Break Fate and Fortune special, in which we'll be leafing through the pages of Britain's favourite supernatural magazine for women, and learning more than you could ever wish to know about psychic horses, haunted paintings, and celestial bananas. So prepare to have your credulity stretched, your intelligence insulted, and hopefully your ribs tickled, as we crack open this year's encrypted Easter egg to find a bumper crop of crap from the pages of Take a Break, Fate and Fortune. Yes, so some of you will remember at Christmas. Bloody Christmas, eh? Seems like only yesterday and it's already Easter. Yes, back at Christmas we had a bit of a chuckle reading some of the real-life supernatural stories in a magazine called Take a Break, Fate and Fortune. And some of you, bless you, said you really enjoyed, the bants and hashtag bants. And so I thought, let's do some more. Now, a warning to those who didn't listen to the Christmas thing. It's a bit silly, and if you don't like the idea of me being silly or a bit rude, then, this probably won't be for you. I've got some other stories that I'm currently mixing, so they'll be out soon, so you can skip this one. But from my point of view, these episodes are really easy to do, so it's a great way to get some extra content out for you all that doesn't require hours and hours of time. And to this end, I've been rifling through Mother's drawers, looking for more magazines. No, I haven't really. I had these delivered directly to my electronic device. I don't think I could muster the nerve to go into an actual newsagent and buy this magazine. I mean, if anyone saw me, I'd have to pretend I was in there looking at pornography or something. But anyway, I've got these on my phone. So you have to scroll through quite a lot of rubbish. I mean, real rubbish to find the stories. I mean, at the start, there's all these photos that readers have sent in. There's a photo here of a woman's legs, and it says, "Is it just me, or can you see the late Queen Elizabeth's face on my knee?" I think it's just you, Judith Hutchinson. But here you go. So I think this issue was from February, and there's a sort of love theme going on for Valentine's. Like this one, "A Possession Brought Us Closer Together" by Teresa Hughes, aged 59, which I'm going to read for you now. As I scrolled through my dating site messages, and remember, they always start like this, as I did this, something happened. As I parked the car, Auntie Deborah's knickers fell down. You'll see. As I scrolled through my dating site messages, one profile caught my eye. He looks nice, I thought. No, I think that should have been more like, "Whoa, he looks nice." His name was Charlie, and we soon started messaging. Instantly we hit it off and arranged our first date. That's often the way, isn't it, when you get older? You don't have the time to mess around. Has she got her own teeth? Do the hips still work? Good. Are you free this Tuesday? Charlie was the first person I'd clicked with following my husband Terry's passing. "So, what do you do for a living?" I asked. "Well, I'm actually a paranormal investigator," replied Charlie. I was shocked. "What's that?" I asked. "I basically look into paranormal activities, such as hauntings. I've been doing it for about 20 years, he said. Now, I'd never looked into that sort of thing, as, truth be told, I thought it was bullshit. No, truth be told, it freaked me out. But it didn't put me off him. Nah, I was still right up for it. I'm getting the sense that Teresa's probably quite highly sexed. I expect that's what finished poor Terry off. "So, you're a paranormal investigator, eh? Well, I wouldn't mind you poking around my spooky old Undercroft." It doesn't say that. I'm imagining that's how this courtship went. So we moved in together, and I became involved in his business, Afterlife Paranormal. But then, 2 years on, we started noticing spirits in our own home. One morning I came downstairs and noticed that a framed wedding photo of me and Terry was on the floor. How did that fall down? It seemed to me odd that the glass hadn't smashed. It was as if someone had simply placed it on the floor. Strange. Probably fell off the wall with all the bed rocking going on upstairs. But no, luckily we have night vision cameras. Blimey. Why? So we checked them and saw an orb coming out of the wedding photo. We looked at each other in shock. Terrible when your orb pops out on your wedding photo. What do you think that means then? Do you think Terry's spirit is saying, Teresa, it's time to put this photo away now. You've got Charlie now in your life. Forget me, move on. So then another night, we were on an investigation at a graveyard when the strangest sensation came over me and everything went black. The next thing I remember seeing was Charlie's face, etched with concern. You blacked out, he said, as I looked around, dazed. I've never seen anything like it before in 20 years in the business, remember? I think you were possessed by a spirit. I think she'd been on the spirits, more like. After that, the paranormal activity grew so intense that we decided to do a seance with a Ouija board to see what the spirit or spirits wanted. As we placed our hands on our planchette, we heard loud knocking throughout the house. It seemed spirit was ready to answer our questions. Good, that bloody time. We discovered his name was George. He'd attached himself to me in the graveyard that awful night, and then he'd come home with me. You see, she's a man magnet, this Teresa. Living or dead, they can't keep their hands off her. But he was only one of many. All right, Teresa, no one likes a show-off. Now, it's hard to pinpoint how many spirits are around us, but we don't scare easily. Good job being in the paranormal investigation business. George is still here sometimes, but I also believe my deceased husband Terry is with us too, protecting me from the others. I feel lucky to have Terry and Charlie looking after me. And that's the end of that story. You can find out more about Teresa and Charlie by searching Afterlife Paranormal on Facebook. So all that was just an advert, really. Sorry about that. What else is in here? Well, there's all these regular features. One of them is Texas the Psychic Horse. And Texas can tell readers what their pets are thinking with the help of animal communicator Holly Davis. So you have to believe not only that Texas is psychic, but also that Holly can understand what he's saying, or what he's neighing. I won't read any of this out though, because people really don't like me talking about dead animals and stuff. And there's a message from a hamster in heaven here. So I'll move on from that. There are also these advice pages, sort of psychic agony aunts, answering readers' problems. This one caught my eye, for obvious reasons. How can I stop having sex? I'm going to not say the S word, because I'm worried that the YouTube bots will get the wrong idea about this channel, so it'll be euphemisms from here, folks. So the question from Lily. My boyfriend dumped me 12 months ago. Useless, selfish pig. I was heartbroken, but I coped by flirting outrageously with blokes I met in nightclubs and having lots of shenanigans with them. I don't regret what I did. The experience has taught me a lot, but I'm ready to stop now and get into a proper relationship. Trouble is, I've forgotten how to connect with men in a way that isn't purely, non-stop, how's your father? Or thing. Sorry, I'm just trying to see whereabouts in the UK Lily's based. It doesn't say. Please can you give me some guidance? I'm growing increasingly unhappy with the way things are. Okay, and this is the honest reply. Congratulations on getting back on the horse so fast, Lily. With a horse? I wonder if it was a psychic horse. Well, she did say she was looking for a stable relationship. It says, you have learnt new skills that I'm sure will be useful in your next relationship. Skills, people. I mean, honest to goodness, is it a skill? Really? But anyway, it says, now it's time for a How's Your Father break. Try having a How's Your Father ban with one simple rule. Date first, nookie later. And it says, that's the actual advice. So I suppose, don't just turn up, get your end away, then go bowling. Go bowling first. Here, it says, here is a simple ritual to help you abstain from relations. All you need is a pen. Not sure where they're going with this. Get a pen and paper. Write your goal on a strip of paper. I will not have shenanigans. I will not have relations with that man. Tape this strip of paper around the pen until it can't be removed. Then use the pen to write, I'm looking for more in life, and I can write my own future. And carry this pen of life with you until you reach your goal. And whatever you do, Lily, don't do what I do and put it down somewhere and never find it again. Because you'll be, back on the horse. But, that's great life advice there. I know a few of you in the comments are insanely promiscuous. So hopefully that will be useful advice for you too. Another tip to help you abstain from sex is to get married. Let's find another spooky story. Okay, this one looks good. The Curse of the Crying Boy. A strange painting haunted my childhood and showed me the spirit world is real. By Jill Parks, aged 65. So it says, rushing in from school, I chucked my bag down and headed for the 3-seater sofa in our bright orange lounge. So they've put all that detail in because they want you to know this is the 70s or early 80s. I sat down on our orange 3-piece suite to watch the test card and eat a packet of Spangles. You can almost smell the corduroy, can't you? Orange lounge. As I flopped down, I caught sight of something new hanging on the wall. Mum, I called, what's this new painting? It hadn't been there when I'd left this morning. Okay, so just so you know, it's new, this painting. I don't want you to think she just hadn't noticed it before. It definitely wasn't there in the morning. It's new. My mum, Dorothy, walked in from the adjoining kitchen diner and looked at the 2-foot-high portrait on the wall. I went shopping and saw it, Mum said, explaining that she'd nipped into a bric-a-brac place near our home in Sheldon, Birmingham. So they're Brummies. Okay. So it should have been, I went shopping and I just saw it. I just had to buy it. It was as if it was pulling me hand, Bab. It was busting. I felt the pull she was experiencing towards the image of a little blonde boy with blue eyes filled with tears. Mum had always been a spiritual and sensitive woman. It ran in our family. My dad used to say noses ran in our family. Speaking of Brummies, you all know the one, don't you, about the Brummie elephant at Birmingham Zoo, who realises, it's his time. So he packs his trunk and goes to the elephant's graveyard. And another elephant asks, Did you come here to die? And he says, No, I come here yesterday. Anyway, where was I? Oh yes, blonde boy with blue eyes filled with tears. Mum had always been a spiritual and sensitive woman. Her aunt had read tea leaves, and for a while Mum had done readings from playing cards for family and friends. Yet she'd stopped abruptly when she foretold the death of a close relative, and now Mum kept her intuition to herself. But having the same gift myself, I could see things in her eyes and sense how she was feeling. It's amazing, isn't it, how some people have this gift of reading other people's emotions from the expressions on their face. Maybe her sensitivity was why she felt such a connection with this young child. My eyes were drawn to it too. He had a smart haircut, a little jacket. You all know this painting, right? It's one of the famous crying boy paintings that were done by Bragolin, was it? They were everywhere in the 80s. But his eyes were brimming with tears and they bored deep into you. It was as if he wanted to pass on his pain. Do you like it? Mum asked. I shrugged, but inside I was screaming, No, I hate it. Soon after, we had visitors round. Why are you letting her wear that? One snapped, pointing at me. Strange. Perhaps she was wearing a Nazi officer's uniform. Why are you letting her wear that? Mum bristled. The next time we had visitors, it was the same. Friends and family who were normally perfectly pleasant seemed snappy all of a sudden, mostly in my direction. I couldn't work out what was going on, but the painting seemed to stare at me whenever I was in the room. Feeling uncomfortable, I stopped sitting in the lounge alone. My little brother Stephen and sister Shirley seemed oblivious. Shirley, you can't be oblivious. I am, and don't call me Shirley. But I could tell Mum was unsettled too. Sometimes we would be watching the TV, and I would see her eyes travel to the painting and linger there. Though I tried to avoid the painting, it wasn't a big house, and I'd feel its negative energy as soon as I walked into the room. Whenever guests arrived and became fraught, the painting's energy grew more powerful. It was as if it was feeding off the negative energy. Once, we were all sitting in the orange lounge when we heard footsteps running up the stairs. Dad looked all over the house but couldn't see anything or anyone. After that, I'd often hear running in the house with no obvious cause. The sound of a child's footsteps would echo across the lounge, and I just knew it had to be the little boy. One day I was walking by the lounge when I heard crying. It can't be, I muttered, shuffling closer to the painting. It was. The crying sound was coming from the image. Terrified, I didn't say anything to my parents, but I knew Mum knew something was wrong. She didn't take the painting down, and the house's darkness grew. Mum fell pregnant again. She must have mislaid her pen. Got back on the horse. And when my brother Alan was born, he needed to spend some time in the hospital. Soon after, I was at the house alone when I accidentally made eye contact with the painting and sensed something ominous. I'd never felt anything like it. It was like a malevolent spirit. Watch for this, I felt the boy say to me. Watch for this. It's not going to be nice. A feeling of dread overwhelmed me, and soon after, Dad's car was stolen in the middle of the night. I mean, getting a car nicked in Birmingham, definitely something supernatural going on there. I could almost feel the boy reveling in the distress as it all unfolded. When the painting had been up for around 2 years, I noticed dark smudges in the paint beneath the boy's eyes. Touching the canvas, I realized it was wet. He was crying real tears. Oh my gosh. Days on, I woke up and found the painting gone. The energy in the room felt instantly lighter. What's happened to it? I asked Mum. She refused to say, but later that night I discovered the truth. Going to throw something in the outside bin, I saw the canvas all cut and broken up. I slammed down the lid. Good riddance. From that moment on, our home was happier. Guests stopped acting strangely. There were no more footsteps, no crying sounds, and I could sit in the orange lounge and relax once more. However, the boy had left me with one thing. I knew now that spirits were definitely real. And over the years, my gift has only become stronger. Blah, 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 talks to her dead parents. But the crying boy also taught me a valuable lesson. Just like Mum, I love to go browsing in a bric-a-brac or antique store. But unlike Mum, I always tune into the energy of an item before buying it. Any negativity, and it stays in the shop. I learnt young that you must always be very careful what you bring into your home. Quite right, what's her name? Jill. How much for this air fryer? No, on second thoughts, keep it. There's a poltergeist in it. So very sage advice there from experience. Sorry, some of these stories, do you think we'll ever find a story as good as The Phantom Flusher with Dave and Karen or whatever they were called? Probably not. But we'll keep looking. This one It's called Eternal Fruit, which I believe was the original title for the famous Bangles hit. A Magical Tree brought me the message I desperately needed, by Julia Brown, aged 63. Dancing under the flashing lights, I spotted a handsome face smiling my way. Oh no, I thought. I vowed I'd never meet anyone in a nightclub. It's like Lily again, isn't it? She'll be riding him like a Grand National winner in a minute. Get your pen out, Julia. Suddenly, there I was, dancing with Kevin, and it was as if we'd known each other our whole lives. From that moment on, we saw each other every day. Then, just 7 days later, Kevin turned to me and asked, "Will you marry me?" Bloody hell, Kevin, that's fast work. These 7 days have been the best of my life. Arced old Craig David there. Yes, I laughed. I was in shock, but it just felt right. After an amazing wedding and 2 wonderful children, that was probably the following week, we began to travel the world. I'd family in Australia, so we'd spend a lot of time there, and Kevin loved the tropical plants. Then, when the pandemic hit, we were unable to travel. How about we bring the tropics here? Kevin asked. That's so like Kevin. How about we bring the tropics here? So he infected me with malaria. No, he didn't. He suggested we put plants from everywhere we'd been in our own back garden. I thought it was a wonderful idea. Kevin loved his garden and got to work ordering and planting. He even bought a banana plant, his favourite. Of course, we both knew that the chances of us actually growing bananas at our home in Nottinghamshire were virtually nil. Bananas rarely flower or bring fruit outdoors in the UK. That didn't stop Kevin dreaming, though. Occasionally, he'd take a bunch of bananas from the kitchen and hang them on the tree. Look, it's growing bananas, he would tease our grandchildren, Joss and Ellie. He took great care of that tree, too. Each year, he'd carefully wrap up the leaves for winter and unfold them again in the spring. And then we were hit with some devastating news. Kevin was diagnosed with esophageal cancer. Oh dear. He passed away last year, aged 66, surrounded by our family, and my heart was completely broken. I'm dreadfully sorry about this, folks. I'm going to try and keep it light, but I think we're going to get an upbeat ending. I'd feel his presence constantly, and whenever I would speak about him, the lights would flicker on and off. That's annoying, isn't it? He used to do that when he was alive too. I think he was trying to recreate the nightclub where they first met. One day, it struck me that I'd need to unwrap the banana tree soon. I looked up at the sky and asked, "Is it this week?" And suddenly, a big white feather floated down next to me. I knew it was a sign and began to unwrap the tree. Out fell the huge leaves, and each week the tree grew and grew. Then, just months after Kevin's passing, I spotted something. To my surprise, nestled in the leaves was a bunch of green bananas. I couldn't believe it. Ho, 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 I told you they would grow. Ho, ho, ho. I heard Kevin's voice laughing. No, wait. Ho, 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 I told you they would grow. Ho, ho, ho. I heard Kevin's voice laughing in my head. People are shocked when they see the tree, but Kevin was the type of man who always thought outside the box. Now our amazing banana tree has grown so tall, and the leaves are so big they resemble surfboards. And every time I look at a banana, I smile and think of Kevin. I expect it makes your eyes water too. Sounds like you've been well and truly spoiled, Julia. What do we think? Time for one more? Now, I did see one that looked like it was proper scary. Here it is. Haunted by the Hanging Man by Maria Rogers. I bet she does. Aged 57. Racing through the house, I shouted to my little sister Julie, "Come look in the garden." Our parents were following behind us. It was moving day, and we'd only lived in a flat before, so relocating to a house with a lawn to play on was big news. It was a terraced ex-council place, and it was the first house our parents had bought. Aged 8, I carried a box of toys upstairs and looked around the rooms. As the older sister, I was getting the bigger room out of the two of us. Julie was only 3, so it made sense for her to have the smaller room. Absolutely pointless level of detail, this, isn't it? Oh, why was Maria getting the big room? Well, Julia was 3, so... But then there was our parents' room and the bathroom, getting a really vivid picture of the layout of the house. But why didn't the parents have Maria's room? Well, because the parents' room was even bigger than Maria's room, and it made sense for them to have the bigger room because there are 2 of them and there was only one Maria, do you see? Ah, yes, it makes sense now. I put down my box and gazed round my new bedroom. Then I shuddered. Something felt strange. I walked around the room, and each time I reached a certain spot, I had an unpleasant feeling. "Mum!" I shouted. "What's that?" She came in and I pointed at it. "Oh, that? That's just the alcove, darling," she said. "Yes. You never forget seeing an alcove for the first time, do you? I think it's one of my earliest memories. I bet Mum later was going, I think our Maria's going to be an architect when she grows up. She's already started noticing alcoves." "The room was square," says Maria, "except for this alcove, which went further back," which is sort of the definition of an alcove, isn't it? "It had a shelf at the top, so Mum and Dad put some boxes up there for storage." Just feels strange because it's new, I thought. Yeah, new home, new architectural feature, new words to describe things, very unsettling for a young child. Before I knew it, it was time for bed. "Night," Mum and Dad said, popping their head round the door. Then they turned my light off, followed by the landing light. I lay under my blanket in bed, but I couldn't get to sleep. Then I noticed something in the alcove. I turned on my bedside lamp to try and work it out, but that didn't help. I turned it off again. Squinting through the dark, I gradually made out a pair of eyes. Clutching my blanket, I sat up, trying to make sense of it. There was a man hanging in the alcove, with his head drooped to one side and something around his neck. His wide, bulbous eyes fixed on mine. I got up and moved around, but the eyes followed me. That was enough. I ran to my parents' room. "There's a man," I said. "There's a man hanging in my room." Mum sighed and got up. You notice Dad didn't get up. Sexist pig. She came into my room and turned the light on. "Where?" she said. "There," I said. "In the alcove." I bet Mum's sick of hearing about this bloody alcove by now. I know I am. "There's nothing there, Maria," she said. "Maybe it was a shadow." I could see him clearly. There was no way I was staying in there, not with the man in the alcove. After a while, I slipped out and slept on the floor in my parents' room. From then on, I saw the man every night. When the light was off, he glowed slightly. I'd sneak into my parents' room and try to kip on the floor for a few hours. In the daytime, he couldn't be seen, but I still felt his presence. I was terrified. What if he hurt me? Or my family? I told everyone about the man in the alcove, to the point that Mum was called into school. Today, in Show and Tell, the teacher said, Maria was explaining about the hanging man in the alcove in her room. "Yes, she tells everyone," replied Mum wearily. "It upset and confused some of the other children," the teacher went on. Well, they didn't know what an alcove was. Upset the other children. How did they think I felt? Getting indignant now. It seemed like rather big news to me that there was a man who watched me as I slept. I became so scared to sleep that I began keeping my eyes open all night. After 6 weeks in the new house, Mum and Dad realised this wasn't going away, so they had a suggestion. "How about you move rooms?" Mum said. "Yes, please," I said. Finally, I'd be free of him. But as Julie's bed was put in my room, I had a horrific realization. What if he scares Julie, I thought. So every night after lights out, I'd slip in, scoop Julie up, bring her back to my room, and the man in the alcove eyed me as I took her. He looked even angrier now. Maybe he'd wanted to tell me something and I'd run off. I had no idea. As the years passed, Julie was old enough to understand. I always used to think it didn't make sense why I was in the bigger bedroom, she said. Don't worry, Maria. The man won't hurt me. I can't see him. By now, I'd avoid going into Julie's room at night. I sometimes wondered if I was completely losing my mind. But the man still had ways to make his presence felt. Aged 12, we were going on a family trip to the cinema. I nipped to the toilet as we were all getting ready. Suddenly there was a loud banging, as if someone was kicking the door. "I'll be a minute," I said. It didn't stop. "I said I'll be a minute," I shouted over the din. I came out and Mum was there. "Who are you talking to?" she asked. "Someone was banging on the door," I said. "But we were all in the car," she said, puzzled. "I came in to see where you were." I was stunned. It was the middle of the day. Then I realized exactly who it was who wanted my attention. Could it be a certain Alan Cove? But now I was old enough to try and crack this case for myself. It was bizarre, and I wanted answers. So after school I went to the library and looked up books on paranormal activity. By now I knew what a ghost was. I bet that was like page 1 of the book. And when I researched, the advice was not to take it lying down, which, come to think of it, is the same advice I'd give to Lily. Tell them you're not scared, I read. So from then on, when he started banging, I'd shout, "Will you shut up?" But I wanted to know why he was there. Our street was a row of terraced houses, and there was an elderly couple 5 doors down. They'd lived there for a long time, so I knocked on the door and asked them, "Has anything strange happened in my house?" "Well," the neighbour said, tentatively, "a man did hang himself in there." My mouth dropped open as they told me more details. "Where were it, Barbara? Were it the alcove where he hanged himself?" "Aye, Derek, happen it were the alcove, aye." "I knew it," I said. "I see him hanging there in the alcove still." Their faces were a picture. It turned out that there had been a family who had lived there briefly before us, and they had moved after the dad, you know. I wonder which rooms their children slept in. It turned out that I went to school with their lad, but he wouldn't talk about it. Well, I mean, it's not something you can, By the way, your dad's ghost was trying to catch me on the toilet the other day. I mean, you can't, can you? Of course, it's terrible that the man took his own life. It's a shame he must have been in torment, and I hope he did eventually find peace. But in a way, I felt vindicated because no one had believed me. I'd doubted my own sanity sometimes. I'd learned to sleep with my eyes open and try to pretend I was awake. I also realized through my research, she means that book in the library, that I was more perceptive to spirits than most people. I told my parents and they were surprised, but they still didn't quite believe me. Bastards. In time, when I was 16, I moved out, and my parents sold the house. But since then, I've had other encounters. Recently, my partner, who's a decorator, specializes in alcoves, did some work in a house that was said to be haunted by a monk. So I joined him one day out of curiosity. "It's the top room that's haunted," I said straight away. We went up there to take a look. "Oh yes, the monk's right there," I told him, "just at the back. At the back of that recessed part of the wall there. I could see him, that hooded figure, clear as you like." Of course, my partner was terrified, and we both scarpered fairly quickly. Sod the decorating. But I've come to terms with my gift now, says Maria, and as long as these spirits don't give me any grief, I leave them to get on with their own afterlives. Well, good, I suppose. That was all tremendously exciting, wasn't it? Well, I think we'll leave it there. I hope you've enjoyed listening to this ragbag of rubbish. If you do, I dare say we'll do it again sometime. And don't forget, there'll be more proper encrypted stories on the way soon. So until then, thank you so much for being such wonderful listeners and indulging me as you often do. And until next time, stay well and stay spooky.